Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You gotta eat what you kill. You gotta go out there. You gotta hunt for your meals.
We all have that ability to connect with people, to be that motivational person in somebody's life.
You gotta let people know there's certain lines you don't cross, and that there's gonna be consequences if you do.
Man up.
If you are an adult and you are in a relationship, that person's emotions are not your responsibility.
Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
The devil, during slavery, destroyed the masculinity or manhood of the so-called Negro. No man. No man. Right now you got to be trained all over again to be a man.
When someone is obligated to do something, it is binding upon them to do it. And failure to do it causes reaction.
Man up.
Position make you rich. I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever.
If that people knew that glorious pop, if that people knew that glorious pop, if that people knew that glorious pop, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You want to tell me about yourself? Go get your friends. I'll tell you who you are based on who your friends are.
Don't just live and die. That's an ugly existence. Make your life matter, make your life count. Live a life where people can actually mourn you for the things you left behind, not just because you were around and existed.
We need strong black nuclear family.
Yes.
That's what it is. Mother, father, son, daughter, all in the same house with a focus on the family unit as a whole.
We had Tulsa, Atlanta, New Jersey, Detroit. We had Rosewood. We had Black Wall Streets all over.
The Republicans aren't for us, but the Democrats aren't for us either. And we should have no alliance to any political party. We only have alliance to what is in our own best interest.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
At the end of the day, as men in the community, we must stand together and be counted, because people look to us for guidance, leadership, and protection. And if we are not about that business, we are not on our job. Here we have grown-ass man conversations in the spirit of that purpose. Anthony Malcolm, Bobby Drake, Major Gage. We are. This is MANVERSATIONS2020.
Manversations. Man up. Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Oh yeah, what's up? What's up? Yeah, that thing be sliding right there, boy. Man up, man up. Yeah, that gets
that theme music, man.
Hey, man, that thing gets you right. Set the mood for the show.
Yes, sir.
You dig? What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing today?
Beautiful, man. Doing beautiful, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Glad to hear. It's been a very blessed and very productive week for me as well. I'm glad to be here with my two brothers, Anthony Malcolm and Bobby Drake. I am Major Gage, and we are holding it down, man. Today we're going to go in and we're going to do an in-depth discussion on the phenomenal movie Sinners. Listen,
Before we get into that real quick, let's just give a shout out to all the mothers out there for Mother's Day.
Yes, yes.
Without the mothers, man, the creators of life, we wouldn't be on this platform. We wouldn't even be highlighting a lot of the great individuals that have came before us and will come after us. Their birth through the portals of a woman's womb. So, today is a very important day of highlighting all the great mothers out there, man, doing a phenomenal job. Some of you guys have no choice, and you're doing a phenomenal job on that. So we definitely want to highlight you and give you your praises on today's day, which was one of Tupac's famous iconic song, Dear Mama, that resonates with everybody's mother, whether your mother's here or watching over you as a guardian angel, man. Much love to your mother.
Yeah, agreed. And I was going to actually talk about that as well, but you jumped in and you said it for me. Yes. Shout out to all the sensational mothers out there. We love you. We respect you. We appreciate you. I got some time to go and spend some time with my mom earlier today. That was great. I always make that time. For those of you who don't, you better ask somebody, go and make that time to spend with your mother. Say a prayer for the ones that you've lost. And everybody needs to really go out of their way to make an effort to acknowledge Mother's Day. It's a very special day, very beautiful holiday, and really, really something to celebrate, as Anthony pointed out. Bobby, got something you want to say on that too?
Big happy Mother's Day to all those who have their mothers with them. And also, usually when this day comes around, and I can't recall exactly what it was that got me to that point or made me aware of that, but somewhere I had like an epiphany and I realized that, there's a lot of celebration, there's a lot of, fanfare and a lot of, activities, all kind of dinners and luncheons and everything and events geared towards mothers. But, and it's not that I celebrate less now, but it's just that I celebrate, I think, in a more complete fashion, because I really became aware that unfortunately, a lot of us, do not have our mothers in our lives or the mother figures in our lives. If we were raised by a grandmother or an auntie, or if there were other significant women in our lives who played some level of a nurturing, mothering role to us, there's a lot of people who don't have those people with them anymore. And while everyone else is celebrating and happily, rightfully so, for them, Mother's Day is a painful day, or it's a very solemn day where they're aware of the people they love that they're missing while everyone else is happy around them. So, I always wish a happy Mother's Day to everybody, but I also wish a very peaceful Mother's Day for those people who have their mothers with them, their mother figures with them. I wish you peace and joy as you guys celebrate together. But for those people who do not have those people there, and this day hits just a little different, I wish you peace and I wish you healing. And I wish you calm and happiness in spite of, that's a hole that will never really heal, no matter what happens. You can only just get a little more numb. You don't feel it as much. But for those people, I hope that today can still be a special day for you as well. So from myself and my brothers on behalf of the platform, we're hoping and wishing that all of you all are having a safe and a pleasant day. And that today you can just take the time to reflect and to just appreciate those who have and those you had.
All facts. Very well said. Shout out to all the mothers out there once again. We love you. We appreciate you. So again, for me, most important thing was to, not only my mom, but also other moms. I just want to throw that in there too, because even other mothers in my family, my aunt is a single mother, you know what I'm saying? My other auntie, she's, not doing so well with her health. Not just your mother, but all the mothers out there. I just want to reiterate that. please make time to go and shout out those ladies because they're very important. All right, so moving along, getting into our show today, we have a movie review for the movie Sinners, which is not just a movie, but from what I feel is a cultural phenomenon. Every now and again, you have a movie that comes out that says so much that it's not just a movie, it's an experience. It's a cultural phenomenon. We saw, and not just movies. Sometimes there's music, sometimes it's a movie, but there's something that just stands out so much and it just screams at you. And I feel like Sinners is that type of movie. It's that type of vessel that it was necessary to have an entire show about it. I saw this very interesting thing from a guy that Bobby listens to quite a bit, and I really loved this post. You know, he's talking about here, you know, how Sinners saved the soul of original film storytelling. And he goes into, how do you introduce horror to people accustomed to living in daily terror? Ryan Coogler's Sinners movie answers the question by creating an original cinematic folktale grounded in bloody reality. I think that is probably one of the best summaries that I've heard for the movie as far as how it resonates with us. You understand? Because, you know, different people are going to take different things from it. But I think that Ryan Coogler is making a very deliberate and intentional effort to communicate certain things specifically to Black folks. You understand? And that is what I kind of want to focus in on. You know, some of these things that I have for today, you know, they enforce them. Some of them not so much. There's something that really jumped out at me. I want to talk about first. Two things, but this one's going to come first. And this is when the movie first came out. You had certain outlets that were talking a lot of smack about the movie. Variety, here it is. Sinners has amassed 61 million in global debut. It's a great result for an original R-rated horror film, yet the Warner Brothers release has a $90 million price tag before global marketing expenses, so profitability remains a ways away, right? And then there was another one that I saw that I just wanted to put up here. Sinners overperformed at the box office, but only made $60 million. Here's why the Michael B. Jordan movie is a win, and not just because it was made by the director of Black Panther. So we have this, you know, I see you smiling over there, Bobby. You know what time it is already. It's like anytime you put a movie out there, Pat Illich says she loved it. Shout out to you, sister. I loved it too.
Big ups, Pat.
Anytime you have a Black movie come out and do extraordinarily well, there's always going to be some low-key hate coming from white society. Why is that? Especially when it's a movie like this, because there were so many cultural moments and so many messages in the movie. I have an idea, but I want y'all to cook on it first. I'll come back to it. What y'all got on this? I mean, I exploded when I saw this because this is just par for the course, man. You can't do anything right. The second article said that, you know, it overperformed, but it still only made $60 million. How is that even possible? Talk to me.
I think what happens is a lot of times people don't realize that the dominant society, they do damage control. That's damage control. It's not per se to give you the facts on the movie. It's trying to downplay the movie to create a narrative in their head so you don't go out there and support it more. Because if you see something is already failing on the start, you're not going to be enthused to jump in on it, you know. And that's what I think a lot of people stop watching and reading Rotten Tomatoes, you know, because Rotten Tomatoes kind of is geared towards the dominant society. So sometimes they'll tell you a movie is good, and it's really trash. But the reason why they say it's good because it's filled with a lot of propaganda that goes with the mainstream dominant society. So you have a movie like Sinners that is geared in cultural facts. And that's another thing too. This movie has so much gems in it that is pretty much a grassroots movie. And anytime you have a grassroots movie, you don't want to give it any fuel. You try hard to make sure you put barriers to stop the blaze from firing up and trailblazing elsewhere. So I think a lot of times the dominant society will go ahead of the game because, you know, the raw data wasn't even out yet, but that's what they were feeding to the public in a way of backhandedly complimenting the movie and trying to destroy it at the same time. So we got to be very mindful and not take heed to bullshit like that. And I love the fact that a lot of people not only went to see the movie one time, but went to see it multiple times.
Yeah.
Which sends a huge message. And to me, you know, I'm looking forward, you know, based on this movie being so good. And we had this discussion, me and Major had the discussion where I told him that I think that Ryan Coogler is the best filmmaker far beyond anybody right now. I think he's number one in my book. And the reason why I say that is because when you have people like Tyler Perry and you have some of the GOATs in the past, I think Ryan Coogler has hit another level that we have not seen this type of level of creativity since the days of the Chitlin Circus when Raw Elements was out like that. The beginning of what's his name? Robert Townsend. You know, that type of creativity, Melvin, the Peebles. Yes, their creativity, and then the Wayne's creativity, and it kind of died down from that, and we really didn't have anybody pick it up since Jordan Peele that really sparked that movement back up and gave that kind of path for it to be successful for Ryan Coogler to come in now. So I'm looking forward, man. By it being such a major hit, I'm looking forward to Mansa Musa, which is his next project. If he can do this for Sinners, man, can you imagine what Mansa Musa will be like? Yo, I'm excited, man. I'm super excited. And I land my plane on that.
Facts, all facts. Bobby, what you saying, man? What you saying?
Oh, yeah. I expect nothing less from the masters of the backhanded compliment. In fact, I'd have actually been concerned if those reviews looked and sounded the way they should have. But once again, this is why we are not supposed to be looking to the dominant society as endorsement of anything. We're not supposed to. And we're supposed to be, in 2025, sophisticated enough to be able to see and read certain things and understand the language. If you spend enough time in China, it'll be a shame if you've been there for that long and you still can't at least pick up a friggin' takeout menu and understand some of the Mandarin there. You should be able to read and understand what it is that you're writing.
Yeah.
And regardless of the language, you know, there's also cultural overtones and even certain kinds of behind the scenes information that's also encoded in the language, because the language is the container of the culture, but there's also certain cultural faux pas. So there are places where the language might be one thing, but there's a certain way that you speak. So for example, in Japan, it's well known that they're very polite over there. They're very concerned about not just being polite and manly, but also saving face. That's very big. So they will go out of their way sometimes if they've taken an L or whatever to not gloat or stunt on the peer person they've defeated or that they've won over. They'll go out of the way to be very apologetic, like, you know, thank you very much for the honor of this, what, the third. Whereas other cultures like ours, it's all about flexing, like, yeah, boy, we run up the charts. There's no sort of mercy rule. And so you have to know how to operate in different environments. Yeah. When we see the dominant society putting out certain things, yes, they're writing it in English. Yes, it's the same letters and numbers that we all use, but we're supposed to know that they're not writing and speaking for us. They're writing for them. So we should be able to read these reviews, see what they're saying, instead of going, oh dear, I don't know how the movie's going to turn out. I mean, Variety says that it's this, that, and the third. It might not. Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. This is concerning. No, we're supposed to read that and go ahead and start saying, yeah, they mad, man. They mad, man. that's a victory lap for us.
Right.
And they do this anytime there's a case of Black excellence on display that is undercutting their narrative or is not advancing their bottom line. So when we see this, when we see these rotten.coms or whatever, and I'll give credit where credit's due, rotten.com did give the movie its flowers. Although, as you said, they have a history of doing otherwise. So I suspect there's a lot of pressure on them to get it right. Because understand, even though they make these statements, they still is a level of saving face they have to do. Because if they're showing that they're completely saying something different from what the people are saying all the time consistently, what that means, they're losing credibility.
Yeah.
Because you may be this peer, you might be this site or this magazine or this resource, whatever, but ultimately your purpose is supposed to be reflecting what the streets are saying.
Yeah.
And if everyone else is saying, this movie's amazing, it's incredible, it's the best one I've seen in years, oh, this is superb, and you're here saying 1 out of 5 stars, hated it, would not recommend.
Yeah.
People can start looking at you like, everybody loves this film. Multiple people have seen this more than one time. What are you talking about?
Thanks.
You're going to lose your credibility. You're going to lose your ability to gain viewership, and you're basically going to lose your money.
Yeah.
So when we're vocal about things, we support the right things and make an effort and say, hey, we need to be on this. First off, this puts them into jeopardy. Secondly, it caused them to get on the right side of things, but we now have to do the will of the people because we can't look like we're on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And third of all, it reinforces the narrative for the rest of us that this is what we need to be on. And if you haven't picked it up by now, this right here, right here,
serious.
This is what we need to be on.
It's serious, bro. Yeah.
And I want to real quick, I want to just say with what Ann said, I want to chime in on right now that Ryan Coogler, I would say, is arguably the best one doing it right now. I've heard some other people saying, and I'm willing to agree, that this might be the two of them combined, Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler, this might be the best cinematic dynamic duo, the Batman and Robin, that we've had since Spike and Denzel. I'm willing to go on a line right now and say that I think he still has a couple more films he needs to put under his belt before we can say that, but I'm ready and willing to say that Denzel can pass the torch to Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
I'm also willing to say that right now, for not just as a group, as a duo, but also individually, Sinners is Coogler and Jordan's best work to date by far. And what I'm very excited about, and I'm praying for both those brothers, I pray for their success, their health, their longevity. I don't think that either one of them has scratched the surface yet. This is their best work today, but both of those brothers are young. They're not even 40 yet. God willing, they have a lot of acting left to do, a lot of directing left to do. I easily just see that them both surpassing this in the future. And I think when it's all said and done, Ryan Coogler's name is going to be up there with the greats. He's going to be up there with the Scorseses, with the Ridley Scotts, with the Spike Lees, with the Spielbergs, those big blockbuster heavyweight directors. And I think Jordan's going to be up there with the Denzel Washingtons. He's going to be up there with the Robert De Niro's, the Al Pacinos, and not a Black De Niro or a Black Pacino, but just Michael B. Jordan, period, pound for pound out of anybody. Both these brothers, they're definitely punching above their weight class, and I can't wait to see what the future looks like. Anything those brothers do, I'm buying a ticket in advance. I didn't even look at the trailer for this movie, to be honest. I had so much faith in this from both of them. I had so much faith that I didn't want to spoil what this movie could be. I had a slight inclination. It wasn't, I was a little off. But I didn't even look at the trailers for anything. I wanted to go in cold turkey, no spoilers. I wanted the full experience, and I was richly rewarded. I'll be rinse, washing, and repeating with the next projects they have coming out.
Yeah, I was blown away too, man. Like, bruh. And I was telling Anthony, we had this conversation. I think Ryan Coogler is definitely that guy. I think Jordan Peele is right there with him. I said to Ant, I think they're battle rapping in film. That's what I said. That was my statement. I think these guys are ciphering in film form. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, what you got now, Jordan. I'm waiting to see it, and I think that the two of them with the movies that they've made, I feel like they've created a whole new genre. I really do. I feel like this is, race social horror or something like that.
We didn't talk about this, but yeah, dude, you're reading my mind. You're reading my mind.
This is not just horror. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is horror with social commentary, with racism, with oh my God, it's so
a different
much.
type of it really is its own genre. And I actually saw this. I was trying to find it to send it to you this today. There was a nice little breakdown. I saw they went really in depth with the think piece, and they definitely, I think the term they use for it is like black or black noir or whatever. But as you said, and Torrin Walker also kind of touched on that a little bit as well too. But this is horror that's not horror. This is more that what happens when the horror isn't a Michael Myers or a creeper or Freddy Krueger. Yeah. What happens when the horror is the culture?
Mm-hmm.
Your Michael Myers isn't some dude walking with a hockey mask and a giant butcher knife, but it's white supremacist terrorism.
Right.
What happens when the setting isn't the Amityville mansion, but it's antebellum slavery? It's the Jim Crow South. It's the sundown towns. This horror that is real, that is lived, that people literally live. This, ain't nobody out here actually has some dude walk around like Leatherface with a big old chainsaw slashing dashing whole towns. They have lived through that. But we have lived through lynchings, crosses being burned in people's yards. We've lived through people getting dragged out of the house and beaten to death because they didn't say Mister, or because they didn't get the sidewalk fast enough for somebody. We've lived through that. That's real horror. And these films like Get Out and Sinners, what have you, and them, whatever, it speaks to that constant fear, that existence in this space, right? Where just every breath is an act of a revolution, but it's also some dread in the background because you never know, is it going to finally come around and get me this time or whatever. So this is a different type of horror. This is a very specific kind of horror. Nobody else can write about this because this is unique to the foundational Black American experience.
Yes.
This is an FBA genre exclusively.
Yes.
That's this is very powerful. And we are, like you said, we got the two of them battle rapping. I'm hoping that this kind of gives wings and gives footing to a third contender to add into the battle. Because I would love to see at least three brothers or two brothers and a sister that go in, and now we all just really building up this whole universe where this type of storytelling is told.
That would be hard, and that's my hope, because it forces certain conversations also. And when you start having conversations, see, this is why a lot of white folks don't want to give or didn't want to give the movie its props to begin with. Because when you force certain conversations, well, now you got to address those ills. You understand what I'm saying? Like it lends credence to the thought process behind addressing those injustices. You know what I'm saying? It forced certain conversations to the table, that nobody's really paying attention to. Everybody's twerking, everybody's at the strip club, everybody's popping mollies and all this old shit. But it's kind of an in-your-face reminder. It's a very sobering movie that kind of brings you back to reality and makes you remember those that came before you and the struggles that they endured so that we can enjoy a lot of the freedoms that we do today. You understand? Like it's a real thing, so it was amazing. The culture, it was so many layers to it. And we're going to get into that more. Yeah. Long story short, go ahead. Would you want to say something, Ant?
No, you were saying the layers, and I was going to say something about that when Bobby was speaking. There's a lot of layers that peels back. I think Jordan and what's the name? Cooler. Yeah. When they do their movies, it's a lot of face value to the movie, but there's a lot of in-depth, there's layers to it. So it's kind of like they remind me of like a cinematic Kendrick Lamar. Like there's
taking the words out of my mouth.
They're
That's
double
exactly what I was
entendres.
gonna say.
The double
Yeah.
entendres going all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
I like about what they both do, and I think this is what makes them so powerful, is that they both do research and they bring factual based stuff. So when it comes out into the films, a lot of the dominant society, like you say, Major, don't want to address it, because if they address it, then you're going to get debunked, because there's factual based stuff in there. So if you highlight it, now it debunks all the bullshit you've been promoting over decades and decades.
Yes.
And that's why they rather get these guys caught up in some kind of scandal, or try to derail them in some kind of propaganda, hate, trying to say that the movies aren't as good as people think they are. But we have a lot of what's going on now. I think since the pandemic, the 2020, we've seen a new shift of mentality from Black folks. We're seeing a lot of people waking up. So now you don't have to tell a lot of these Black folks what's going on. A lot of them are hip to the game of what's going on. So it's kind of ciphering back to that grassroots chitlin circus type mentality. And it's starting to come around a lot. And I think that's the dangers that the white society don't want us to be engaged in.
All facts, sir. Yeah, I mean, there's no lies to anything that you said. What really gets me going is some of the other people from our side of the ledger that are talking kind of crazy. And just, I'm going to get into a little story now and, really start talking about the actual movie. And I'm going to kick it off with this video that I'm going to show. But, just to give you a brief synopsis, hey, you got these two brothers, the Smokestack twins. They were living up north and they were out there thugging with Al Capone. Then they moved back down south to Mississippi. They come down there to open a juke joint. And, one of the brothers goes off to find the talent. One of the brothers goes off to handle the other business with the one brother goes off to find the talent, and the other brother goes off to get the spot that they're going to do it at, basically. And so, they go off and, they do their thing, and they come together later on in that day after they've taken care of their respective business, so they can open a juke joint, so they can, start over, basically, is what goes on. And without giving too many spoilers, that is when drama ensues. Everybody's coming together, everybody's coming out to party and feel good, and then things get a little crazy. And what I took from this movie, and it's going to tie in with this clip that I'm going to show, is the spiritual aspect of our music and how it motivates people to do certain things and behave in a certain manner cannot be understated. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I would re-look at the way that I am when I'm in the club. You know what I'm saying? I would look at it totally differently after this movie. And this really jumped out at me, drove me crazy, but we got to talk about it.
With the anti-Christian propaganda. Can you elaborate on that?
It is a phenomenal movie. I saw it twice. I think you got to take your hat off to Ryan Coogler. You got to take your hat off to Michael B. Jordan. The doors is opening for Black creatives in filmmaking. Phenomenal. Oftentimes, Christianity and colonization get married together unnecessarily. And I think this film depicts the Christian faith as a colonized white man's religion that is oppressive. Now, did white people use Christianity to oppress Black folks and other minorities in history? Absolutely. But just because it was used as a tool of oppression does not discount its relevance, its power, its potency. It's also something that was created in the Eastern world. It didn't start in Europe. It started in ancient Israel, in the ancient Near East. It went to Ethiopia. It was in Africa before it was in Europe. So that's just some of the stuff I was like, yo, man, I know us as Black people, especially the conscious community, got a lot of issues with Christianity because of that. And it popped up in the movie. You know, there was lines where it was like, yeah, blues came from us, unlike that religion that was forced on us. And I'm like, that's not true. There was a forcing of religion, but we had it before they came and forced it on us. And so that's the stuff that I was just like, yo, man, I just want there to be more clarity as it pertains to that.
He tried, you know, and I like Lecrae. I respect Lecrae, but this clip drove me crazy because he's just talking in circles and he has no idea what he's talking about. Because he's like, well, you know, colonization and Christianity, you know, they get coupled together unnecessarily. No, brother, it's not unnecessarily. They get coupled together because they came together for a lot of folks. You understand what I'm saying? If we're going to tell the truth, we got to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. All right. Then he says later on in there that, oh, you know, they say that, you know, they use Christianity to colonize us, and that's not true. Then he turns right around and says, yeah, sometimes they did use it to colonize us. Bruh, you're contradicting yourself. Before you can come and have an argument with us about this, you need to have the argument with yourself, because he debunked himself several times in that clip. I think that when you're a bit of a religious zealot, you can take things a little too far. You know, the movie, I think, paints Christian. There's a deliberate juxtaposition to draw a contrast and also to provide some type of realistic historical context, because how many times have we seen Christian people talk about people bad for playing that secular music? All the time. You understand what I'm saying? Even in my own family, my great grandmother, you know, she didn't care for, you know, that common, she used to call it common music. She didn't care for that too much. And that is very common, particularly with people that come from that era, people that came from that era. My great grandmother died when she was 100. I used to talk to her all the time as a 7, 8, 9-year-old. You understand? Just so that I could get that game, because I was just advanced enough to understand. She had knowledge far beyond what my understanding could be, and even my mother's or my grandmother. So I got her on tape. You understand what I'm saying? And I interviewed her when I was a small child because I wanted that game. And, you know, there was a rift between the church and the common folks. You understand? There was a very pronounced rift there. And so, you know, he never said at any time during the movie, you know, Christianity ain't shit. You know, you shouldn't be no Christian, that fake ass bullshit. He didn't say that. What he is talking about is the very real fact that a lot of that religious, you know, propaganda was forced on us. You understand? And I think that you got to be real about this. Secondly, this is a vampire movie. At the end of the day, you gotta allow some space for, you know, creativity. And it's just wild to me how he's talking about the movie was phenomenal. Oh, it was so great. But then you say something like it's anti-Christian. To me, that kind of negates everything positive that you were saying about the film, because being anti-Christian is a very serious charge. You understand what I'm saying? It's not, he didn't say it was anti-Muslim or anti-anything. He specified anti-Christian. And the Black community is predominantly Christian. You know, so I really didn't like that take from Lecrae. I thought he was very off. I thought the meaning of the film and some of the contrast that he was drawing that have real historical context kind of went over his head. What y'all say?
Well, I mean, that goes back to the whole Kendrick Lamar. When Kendrick Lamar came out and he did his whole battles, you know, going back and forth with Drake. A lot of his battles that he had for Drake were double entendres. So a lot of people didn't understand that. You had a lot of Drake fans that was like, oh, you know, all that shit. We don't want to hear that shit. We just want to hear music. So it's the same thing. Like a lot of the people that don't have their mind expanded to understand from different aspects won't get the message the same way. It's kind of looking at it from two different lenses. When I always say it's very important to talk, to understand and learn history, real history. When you look at John Henry Clark and a lot of our pioneers from our back in the days, even to present day, even when you talk to Tariq Nasheed, who gets down with a lot of historical facts. That's one of the reasons why Hidden Colors is such a huge documentary, because you can't debunk it. There's not one white person I see from the dominant society that said that shit was trash. They can't say it's trash. And that's another reason why they don't want to highlight that too. It's the same thing we talked about, how if they talk about it, then they have to highlight all the bullshit that they've been propagating for a long time. So when you hear this guy, and I say, it's so important to know history. This fool said it went from Ethiopia to Africa. If you don't know fucking history, then you know that is a jackass statement. That's a backwards ass statement, because Africa came after Ethiopia. Ethiopia was the original Africa. You know what I'm saying? And people don't understand that. They didn't know that. Africa became the whole continent after Ethiopia, and then they divided into the different countries.
Yeah.
So when he says stuff like that, and then he's going back and forth debunking his own self, it kind of shows you that, one, he doesn't know history. Two, he's not confident in what he's saying, because a lot of times when people debunk themselves like that or ride in the fence, they get a lot of that shit regurgitated to him. So he can't stand on a fact base, because he don't know the real history of what he's speaking on himself.
Right.
He's only giving you talking points. So you got to stay away from people like that. When you know real history, you know who you open your ears to, and you know who to close your ears from.
Yeah.
So, I really don't really get into too much of what other people say, because everybody has an opinion. And I just really like to glorify the people that really know what they stand on and what they're talking about. I've heard a lot of people talk about the anti-Christian stuff. And my question to a lot of these people that say that, the first thing I say to is, you are part of the problem. And why I say you're part of the problem, because 90% of y'all went to watch Deliverance, and Deliverance was anti-Christian. If you want to be honest, that's anti-Christian as fuck. And because it was either, if it's either produced by Tyler Perry or Lee Daniels, y'all will watch that shit. But the minute you have somebody else who's coming out, who's trying to give you historical facts, who's trying to present things that's different from the propagated people and symbols and puppets from the dominant society, and give you something pure, raw form like that, you want to sit back and throw mud at it. And you don't throw mud at the shit that you need to throw mud at. So that's why I call them selective Christians, because a lot of people, not really Christians, you're selective about it. Because if you really want to talk about the Bible in itself, why don't y'all preachers go up there on Sundays and read the scriptures about in the Bible when the slaves rebelled and killed their slaves masters in the Bible? Notice they never talk about that in the Christian church. But that's part of the Bible. Why are you exempting that part? Then you start to realize the propaganda and the symbols that are promoting that type of destitute and subservient type of mentality. And then when they see people creating stuff to empower you and get out of that servant mentality, you want to throw rocks at it and try to shatter glasses. And I'll land my plane on that.
Okay. Good points. All good points. I don't think Deliverance was anti-Christian though, but that's another show. We'll talk about that. But okay, I mean, your points were still solid as hell though. Like, at the end of the day, these people, they want to, my great grandmother used to say, you gag on a gnat and swallow a camel. Basically, that's what they're doing. So I hear you. I hear you. Go ahead.
Deliverance wasn't Deliverance the one with what's her name? Parker's girl, the
Monique. Yeah, she was in that. She was
the one that was with the nappy pussy and the spirit in her and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I thought it was a damn good movie. There were some things in it that were distasteful, but the acting was extraordinary. But again, that's another show. We'll get back to that. Bobby, what you saying?
Like Lecrae, but brother,
come on.
I'm gonna need, I hate when I have to do this, but I'm finding too far often. I gotta I don't know what that chick, who's that chick that for I think it was Fox News that came at LeBron sideways and told him shut up and dribble.
Yeah,
Laura somebody.
Laura
Ingram. I thought, I wasn't sure if it was her or not.
Yeah.
I find far too often these days. Broken clock moments when you're right, you're right. I gotta take her line and I gotta tell some of these Negroes, shut up and dribble.
Just shut up and dribble, bro.
I don't want to hear your thoughts on anything. No, whatever it is that I'm rocking with you for, if it's for your music, it's for your sports and your gameplay, it's for your design, whatever it is that you do that got me rocking with you, do that.
Yeah.
I do not want to know what your thoughts are on anything. Please do not do anything that's going to cause me to dislike you. Don't do it. Please. Yeah. It's a beautiful relationship we have. Consumer, service provider, let's keep it right there.
It was crazy. It's crazy, man.
And I don't think he meant harm. The problem is, and I don't believe that Lecrae is a Sambo. I don't think that he's a buck dancer or anything of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, this brother is very ignorant in regards to a lot of history, a lot of context and nuance.
Yeah.
And a lot of the politics that go behind this here thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what it looks like. And he's not alone by a landslide. And he's probably not the most egregious person either with this.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what it sounds like when you're out of your depth. You try to put your 2 cents into the mix. And now it's looking like you completely lost. And now here it is, you done kicked a bee's nest. You're like, well, I didn't mean all that. You probably didn't. But shut the hell up. This is why I like being in rooms where I don't know the most. There's a lot of times when I'm in a room and I do happen to be knowledgeable, maybe not the most knowledgeable person, but I can definitely hold my own in there. And I definitely will not be stingy or selfish with the knowledge. If I can help somebody to understand better, if I can help instruct or give the game to somebody, I'm always willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that knows me, that's been around me for 5 minutes, knows that that's who I am. But I love being in spaces where I'm not the most knowledgeable person. And when I'm in those spaces, my mouth is usually sealed shut.
Mm-hmm.
I shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Because I don't know everything. I don't know the most here. I'm trying to leave here with something. So I'm be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Use my 2 ears versus my 1 mouth. And I'm going to listen so I can learn and become knowledgeable.
Yes.
I don't like speaking on things I do not know. I'm perfectly content with sitting right there and looking stupid and asking questions, even if it's a dumb question. I'll be that person. I'll fall on that sword because I know that's going to help me become the person eventually that is the most knowledgeable in the room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
go ahead.
And speaking as a Christian, I did not feel like this was an anti-Christian film. I did not.
Not hardly.
I believe that the film strove to be realistic because, first off, just because the film wasn't glazing Christianity, it wasn't saying, oh, Christianity is amazing, it's the answer. Just because it's not gushing over Christianity does not make it anti-Christian.
Correct.
It does not. Now, I can see how a person, no shade to Lecrae, with limited understanding or thinking, could hear some of the dialogue or think that is taking shots at Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is meant to, even though it's obviously vampires and stuff, but this is meant to be a realistic film.
Mm-hmm.
So the same way how in real life, everybody isn't rocking with Christianity. You have some people that hate it. You have there's atheists in real life.
Come on now.
There's agnostics in real life.
Come on now.
There's people of different spiritual faiths and backgrounds in real life. There's people who are hoodoo practitioners in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we're going to showcase a realistic film where some of these elements come into play, then it would be very intellectually dishonest of Coogler to portray a case where no one's saying anything bad about Christianity or what have you. Mind you, Preacher Boy, he's a Christian himself.
Yes, very much so.
He's read scriptures in his father's church. He's played in the church, whatever. He's a Christian. There's nothing that he said whatsoever about renouncing Christianity, but he was at a crossroads where he has a very strict father.
Yes.
And it's like, look, and it wasn't even so much about Christianity, it was about plain and simple. And this is also some of the ties with the conflict between the secular versus the spiritual and the Christian. It's the idea that a lot of what you're exposed to is not in your best interest. And let's be real, if you're thinking about it, it's not like there was innocence. It's not like they were playing Mary Had a Little Lamb in the Jew joint.
Right.
To be honest.
Right.
They weren't playing Mama, you know. No, they was getting it. They were the place hadn't been open for 2 hours, and cheeks were getting clapped in there.
Yeah. Yes.
So clearly, this is not a family-friendly environment. It's not a place where you want your children to be and that you raise the morals and values. So it's obvious why there's going to be a conflict. But just because you have people that aren't from that life saying, man, this is and third, that doesn't make the film anti-Christian.
Nah, not hardly.
So we have to get to a point, if we're going to be intelligent, intellectual, where we can step outside of certain things and not take everything to the quick. Now, there's some things that are legitimate anti-Christian, and personally, I don't have anything to do with it. I'll draw the line there. I'm not going to entertain it.
Yeah.
But there are some things where I don't go looking for an offense everywhere I go. You have to be able to think outside of yourself in reality. Okay, I'm not looking at, this is not my lived reality. This isn't my perspective. This is somebody else's perspective. If we want to understand, Lecrae should know this above all people, if you're going to effectively minister or spread the word of God to other people, you have to understand the people.
Yes.
I need to understand their background. If you look at, now I can crack that word open a little bit. If you look at the New Testament, where Paul is visiting different places when he's on his missionary voyages, he goes to Greece and he's walking around their pantheon where they have the statues of their Greek gods and everything. And you don't see that man saying, oh, this isn't of God. You need to take this down right now. This isn't the true way. This isn't what he didn't do that. If you read the scripture, and I think that was in Corinthians, no, that might have actually been in Romans, he actually complimented the work of the statues. And he, not only that, he took it a step further. Any people that got the church hats on are going to be, flinching when I say this.
Yeah.
But he actually commended the people's fidelity and faithfulness to their spiritual practice. Like, I commend you all for being such, dedicated and devoted servants and worshipers of so-and-so your deity. I commend you for that, your faithfulness. That's what's up.
Yes. Yes.
And then he went and talked about the God that he sort of represented, but he didn't slander them and say, this is that's not what he did. So you have to be able to take yourself out of that perspective and entertain the viewpoints of other people. You're not going to be able to win the people if you're not able to understand and be among the people. I'm not going to get on Lecrae too hard because I don't know what he initially said. I'm ignorant of that. I heard obviously him trying to tidy it up some, but I didn't hear what was originally said. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to jump on him too much. But who knows? I might have more to say after I find out. But where I'm at, all I can say is Lecrae and other folk who could be in that boat, it's perfectly fine to say, I don't know, or even better, I don't have an opinion. There's honor in saying, like I just did, I don't know enough to have an opinion about that. Let me go look it up or whatever. Let me find out and I'll come back. Maybe it won't. But it's perfectly fine to not have an opinion. That's fine.
From Corinthians 9:22, the reality is that I cannot hope to have any meaningful impact on my children's lives unless I meet them where they are, not where I think they should be. I'm just saying. So, I mean, if we want to really have that conversation, Lecrae, you're welcome to come on the show. You know what I'm saying? Like, brother, that was really I like Lecrae, but he's very misguided on that for the simple fact that, again, there's nothing anti-Christian about depicting people in a realistic way with regards to how many of them feel about Christianity and how Christianity feels about many of them. You pointed out that Preacher Boy was very much a Christian. He starts the movie in the church. He ends the movie in the church. You understand what I'm saying? And
if anything, all the Christians in the film who saw the movie, they should have been having a standing ovation, because is that not the prodigal son right there?
That is, and not
he went out and he left his father's inheritance, went out in the world, went through hell, Came back, he was welcomed with open arms right there. The church welcomed him right back in. That was a hallelujah moment. Y'all missed it.
Not only
You missed
that,
it.
but people forget in his darkest moment, what did he start doing? Talking to God. And he used this instrument that his father told him was an instrument of the devil. He used this instrument to harm this evil that was trying to take him over. You really got to watch the movie, Lecrae. You really got to watch the movie and just kind of chill out just a tad, because
open the mind.
You jumped out the window a little bit with that one.
I'm gonna be honest real quick about that. The issue that I think that was really behind the scenes with that, and again, this is preface because I don't know what he originally said, so maybe what I'm saying speaks to that. Maybe it's completely out of left field, but just based on what I heard and what some of the other responses, most of the response I've seen to the film been positive, but some of the other remarks I've heard floating in the breeze, I think the real issue is that a lot of people were uncomfortable with seeing hoodoo being introduced and being displayed to a degree in the film. That's what it was.
That's a part of it.
And I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't jumping for. I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, okay, cool. They got us a film, but I'm not gonna lie. There was a little bit of edginess, little goosebumps in the back of my neck when I saw it. But you know what? Again, this is where being open-minded and being intelligent comes in. I realized, you know what? Even though I'm not necessarily comfortable 100% with this, we have to understand, at least in part, where that comes from.
Yeah,
we're uncomfortable with it because number one, it's not talked about, and number two, this is one of, not the only one, but this is one of the types of Black spirituality that is out there.
Yeah, it is.
We're not comfortable with that because we're told that this is evil, that this is wrong, and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with that. But every single one of us that's been in public school, once we got to middle school and we went into a high school, especially when we had language arts and went to English, what was some of the subject material that we had to go over? Did we not cover Greek mythology?
Of course we did.
Did we not break down Zeus,
Roman mythology,
and
Greek
Roman
mythology,
Pluto, Hades, the Lord of the Dead? Heck, we're introduced right there to European Greek spirituality.
Right.
We know the names of their gods. We know the attributes and the elements. We know Zeus, the god of thunder. We know Hermes is the messenger god. He's the god of speed and all. Some of us know these things. And these same Greeks and Romans, they also made sacrifices to their gods, their deities, or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're pretty well versed when it comes to European spirituality that's not of God. But the Black stuff, that's the problem. No, my kids can know about Zeus. Yes.
Look, check it.
My kids can't know about Papa Legba. Well, wait a minute.
When the white folks do it, it's not a problem. We don't question it when they do it.
So we have to, if nothing else, and I'm not saying that anybody should lean any way, but what I'm saying is if we're going to have reservations about certain things, or we're not going to, it needs to be across the board. If you're going to be nervous or you're going to have an issue where you're completely, I don't want anything to do whatsoever, I don't want to hear anything whatsoever about hoodoo, about Santeria, voodoo, or whatever, we need to make sure we have that with Buddhism, and we have that with Greek mythology, Norse mythology, and all that stuff as well.
Hinduism.
Let's keep it across the board.
Yeah, agreed. And you were going to say something?
Yeah, Matthew 6:24. You can't worship two gods.
Yeah.
So when you talk about Antichrist, and you have a lot of these Christians in AKAs, Delta.
That's a whole other show, Ed. Come on, man. You're killing me now, but
we'll definitely put that on the table.
Yeah, we gonna come back to that. Bookmark that. That's a whole other show.
Yeah, I rest my plane on that.
No, but that you make a very valid point. You know what I'm saying? And that can't be missed. There's another part that I want to get to. I think this is critical as far as the movie is concerned. So I really want to touch on this, and I want to preface it with this particular video right here. Check this out.
out to my brother, Great Black Shark. Big shout out to him. And matter of fact, I'm gonna endorse right quick. All YouTube fam, make sure you link it with Great Black Shark. Go ahead and follow his YouTube channel. Solid, thorough brother, another component, another cog in the wheel of the new black media. Brother definitely is on the right side of things. That's the perspective that you can trust.
Yes. Shout out to Great Black Shark. Hell, shout out to Afro Elite. Shout out to
Black Voltron.
Black Voltron. Oh man, these guys, they are kicking ass and taking names. I got that particular one from Sir Major, and he posts a lot of stuff that's pretty solid too.
Yeah.
So you know, I follow these guys, and y'all should too. What's the other guy? The one with the Black Alpha Network, and him too.
Yes.
Like these brothers are out here, they're kicking ass and taking names. But I think there was the most pertinent and the most significant messaging in the film to me, because he put up a post with that, and his post was real ill. You know what I'm saying? His post was really, really ill, and it said this: once again, I remind black people of the character Remick in Sinners. This same flat-ass alabastrous will get on a jury and support the likes of Daniel Penny, etc. Close the damn gates. And
exactly,
bruh, what that just jumped out at me, dog. It's like, yo, did y'all see the movie or not? Like, you got a whole bunch of black people, they out good time and whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that a white girl can't come around and dance or whatever, or you know, that we can't be in the same vicinity and have a good time together. I'm not saying that. But when you see a white person being all extra like that, and it's a gang of Negroes around, and you indulge them, that is not safe, nor is it wise. You understand what I'm saying? Because anything could pop off. And when it pops off, you wrong. You understand? That's what the overarching, towering messaging in that movie is screaming to me. Close the goddamn door. We want to invite everybody to the goddamn barbecue. Bruh, we can have our own damn barbecue just fine without inviting, you know, a gang, without inviting Chelsea and, you know, Piper and all these motherfuckers. We can do it by ourselves. You dig?
Chung Lee. Don't forget Chung Lee.
Chung Lee, all these folks, we can do it on our own. And that's not to say that you can't have friends that are of other ethnicities or other races. I do. I have cool people just about everywhere. You understand what I'm saying? But you got to know the levels. They don't know this woman. You understand? They don't know her from Adam, and she's drunk as a skunk, and she's wilding out, and, you know, they're touching on her, and they're encouraging her, or whatever. And the cops come there, they can say anything happened. You understand? They could say this woman sexually assaulted me. Never mind, I'm putting my ass in her face. Well, she touched it. And she's black. She's a black. And she touched my booty. You understand? Who you think they gonna believe? You or Piper? Bruh, let's not forget, and I swear, maybe I'm crazy, but this seems like an allegory between the liberals and the conservatives and how they both approach black people, to me. Because if you peep the movie like I peeped the movie, and I've watched it 3 times already, if you peep the movie, you see that Remick and his squad, you know, they were really, really, you know, polite and nice. And, you know, we just won't come inside. You know, it's that type of shit. But they want to kill your ass. The Klansman that sold them the place, he was real aggressive. And, you know, he seemed like he couldn't stand their ass. And he wanted to kill their ass. Point of the matter is, all of them wanted to kill your ass, nigga. The liberal and the conservative have the same goal. Their fangs on the same snake. You understand? And I think that needs to get through to people. Because I'm watching these niggas. I'm like, y'all, y'all is stuck on damn stupid. Really? Nigga, it's certain shit that you just don't do around white folks, bruh. You know what I'm saying? You see you should be able to read the room. And black folks, if you don't know at this point that your ass is a target when it's you and some other Negroes and a few white folks, you don't know that your ass is a target yet. I don't know what's going to help you know. And peep how Ryan Coogler was with the messaging, bruh. One of them, she was passing, one of them, one of the good ones, and not that there aren't good white people out there because they are, but what happened? One of the good white folks went to go speak to the other white folks on behalf of the coloreds, right? And they turned her ass and sent her back in.
And she ended up becoming typhoid. She ended up becoming Typhoid Mary.
You did?
She the one that got the whole party started.
And this shit is going right over niggas' heads. So it's like, bruh, while we're all saying that this is a great movie or whatever the case may be, and we enjoyed it, we went and seen it 2 or 3 times, don't miss the message in the movie, dumbass. This is something that you are supposed to internalize and use for yourself. Nigga, Shannon Sharp and others, Deshaun Watson, I could go on all day. Diddy, whatever the case, your ass is a target. And you must move accordingly when in the presence of vampires. Speak, brothers, what you got? Talk to me, bruh. That shit got me crazy right now. What you got?
I think when it comes to the double entendre type thing, I was speaking about how the brother Coogler is so dynamic in doing. I think a lot of people don't understand that Mary, right? I think that's her name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's actually, if y'all notice in the movie, she's actually part black.
Yes.
She's an octoroon, I think.
Mm-hmm. She passing, like I said, she's passing.
Yeah, she's part black. So what it is remember, when she went out to the white guys, even though they wanted to turn her, they had more intentions of turning her because remember that one drop rule. Mm-hmm. You a nigga.
Yeah.
So we're gonna use you because you're not part of our bloodline fully. We're gonna use you to destroy the black folks. And I think that underlying message didn't really it didn't resonate with a lot of people, and they didn't catch that part of it. That's why she was allowed to get in with the black folks, because she had a background of being around black folks.
Yes.
It's kind of that Jim Jones effect, right? Mm-hmm. You got Jim Jones around black folks in the church, being comfortable with them, and then say, hey, y'all niggas come down to the island, man. I got some real great Kool-Aid for y'all. Mm-hmm. And y'all motherfuckers ain't never came back. And you trusted this guy, you took pictures with him, you told your family about him, and it ended up being the demise of your existence. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing. Even with the Asian lady, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. She was mixed in because she had she was supplying the groceries in the black community, because dominant society, that's where they placed her. They was like, hey, you know what? Back in the 19th, and that's why I say it's so dope, because there's so much history in there that y'all gotta really pay attention to, because the Asians were brought in, and everybody think that the Asians were welcomed into the black community as being this ally, but in reality, it was the dominant society used them as a buffer for financial gain, because if they put a Asian grocery store in there, it would cut off the plight of black excellence that was happening in the 1920s. They didn't want to get back to the black Wall Streets. Mm-hmm. So that's why the Asians came very populated back in the late 40s down in the Southerns like that, and got acclimated into the black community. So I thought that was very real. But at the end of the day, and you're seeing propagandas now where Asians spend over $20 billion to look white. And the reason for that is they feel like they're part of their culture, not with us. And the moment that she was inside and she was being protected by the black folks, because at the end of the day, she let them devils in. After they told her, like, no, don't do it. She
Right.
said, fuck it, let them in. And a lot of people died because of that ally and that unity, that deception. So I think a lot of people didn't realize that too. And the Asian man was very, very, there was very telltale how the Asian man, they remember, he knew the dangers that was coming out there. But instead of being with the black folks that he was giving the groceries to, he felt more comfortable being outside with the white folks because he thought that the white folks wasn't going to fuck with him because he looked at them as him being white. And social classism allows Asians, Hispanics to get on the census as white. So it's a lot of double entendres that's so deep in that shit. And his ass got bit because of his arrogance.
Yeah.
So he was like, fuck it, I'd rather die out there than to live inside with y'all niggas, even though I get my financial gains from y'all. So I'll land my plane on that.
Well, and also let me add real quick before Bobby go. Double, triple, and quadruple entendres, goddammit, like Kendrick. I mean, it wasn't even just doubles. This boy was all over the place. But let me add something in there. That the lady said, she said something real slick, and I think most people missed it. We came to help with the party, but not this. In other words, you understand what I'm saying? We can make money off these niggas, but when shit get real, we ain't come for this. You understand what I'm saying? It speaks volumes. This is not something small. This is the lives of everyone in this room and of the village at large are being threatened, but we didn't come here for this.
This is a y'all problem. This ain't our problem.
It's a y'all problem. You dig? But yet it's still, you know, you take our dollars, you live very well off of the lifestyle that we facilitate for you with our dollars. I'll land my plane. Go ahead, Bobby. I know you're gonna cook on this.
Hey, Bobby, real quick. Who has that same mentality that we look at as our ally that walked with Dr. King? Bernie Sanders, right? Bernie Sanders talked.
You didn't even let him answer. Goddamn.
Bernie Sanders talked the talk, but the minute we say reparations, hey, I don't know about
I walked with Dr. King. I walked with Dr. King. Fuck out of here.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Absolutely,
that bastard.
Because everybody want to be black. Everybody want to be a nigga. It does time to be a nigga.
Yeah.
So
I walked with Dr. King.
They love our highs. Our highs are amazing. Got some of the best views in the whole surrounding area. But they don't want our lows or they don't want our blues.
Yeah.
So
facts.
they, and that's exactly what they do all the time. They come and they slum it up with us.
Yeah.
They're willing to go ahead and engage in all the fun stuff, the parties, the music, the yo, all this other stuff, whatever. But once they've gotten their film, at some point, we have to make peace with the fact that other groups come to Black society as their rebellious phase.
Yeah. Facts.
Back in the day, it used to be when you were a little white, angsty, suburban teenager, whatever, you went punk. You were raised all upper crust with your nice little soup bowl haircuts and your little school uniforms, and to rebel, to kick back against the system, you went and got a mohawk, you got a tattoo, got your ears all pierced and your lips pierced and wearing mascara, got your nails painted black, you're all goth, whatever. It's, you're a punk rocker, just screw my parents. That used to be the rebellious thing. Now the rebellious phase is to go fully black. So you go and get you some black friends. You start wearing your jeans baggy and sagging. You start listening to all kind of rap music, and it's yo and what up, dog, and this is the whole shebang. Literally to the point where they're able to go and make a whole career for themselves. They become rappers. They become singers, whatever. They get all kind of endorsements from black folks, whatever. And then when they finally got out their system and they're ready to pivot and go back to where the real people are, then all of a sudden they go on a whole F you nigger tour.
Shout out Kid Rock.
Hi, Kid Rock. How's it going, brother?
Shout out Miley Cyrus.
Shout
out Kim Kardashian.
What up, Yellow Wolf?
Yeah.
Whole laundry list.
Facts.
And all that love and support, all the white girl twerking, all that. Then you become a nigga again tomorrow in their eyes.
Yeah.
So at some point, we have to understand that they come around not for a long time, but for a good time. And as soon as the good time runs out, well, look at the time. I got to be up in the morning. Y'all have fun now. I'll catch you later. Not.
Yeah.
So at some point, we have to become privy and wise to this, man. It's very important, the message that's being given here. The film is great just on its face, just at surface value. But there's a lot. This is an amazing teachable tool. An amazing history and current events lesson all rolled into one. There's so much there's so much value that can be extracted out of this. So much value.
Yeah.
It's one of the other things that one of the other messages that I thought was very important also was one of the other gems outside of this was the importance of pushing ownership. You know, that's something that no one really talks about too much in this film because there's other things. But one of the other elements that's important is powerdomics, Black ownership. You know, the twins, they went out of town, they went ahead and they cut their teeth, they made their bones in Chicago. And although it was never expressed outright, some other people more knowledgeable about history than me, they did the math, they looked at the time and everything. Based this time period, the 20s, 30s era, going to Chicago, who was running the yard in Chicago back in those days? That's Al Capone and the Teamsters Union. So pretty safe to say they was probably running up there with Capone during the time. Hit a lick. I think that money was supposed to go to something else. They end up hightailing it when they sense that, you know, I think this is gone this route. Supposedly there was probably some deal that was supposed to go down between the Irish, who were also big figures in Chicago at the time, and Capone, the Italians, because that's why they came back. They had the Irish beer.
Yeah.
Right. And what else they had? And they had the
Italian
wine. Italian wine.
And wine,
so they had the wine. That's why they were able to offer this stuff to the people. And so they figured that they're going to fight it out. When they finally realized what happens, we're long gone, whatever. So they came and they got their riches, but they didn't do it. That's one of the big complaints we've had for the longest time. Our people, they go ahead and get bread, they leave, and they don't come back. They don't pour back. They don't help to build up the infrastructure in the community, whatever.
Yes.
These brothers did the opposite. They hit their lick out there. They didn't try to make it big in Harlem. They didn't try to go out to Raleigh or wherever and try and make it big. They came back home to this. They went ahead and they set up shop there. They went ahead. They're going to go build our own juke joint. We try to go into other people's spots, whatever. We're going to make a spot for us that we run. And you saw how they're able to deal with the community directly and meet their needs. One of the things they did is like, and you know, one of the twins had an issue with it. I believe it was Smoke had an issue with it, but it's like, hey, we'll even take the plug nickels.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not currency. Yeah. But this is the first night. Remember, this is our clientele. We have to also make this a place where they can feel fully welcome. Let them go ahead and spend their plug nickels. We'll go ahead and we'll get it on the back end or whatever.
Yeah.
Meeting the needs of the people. Others aren't going to do that for us. They're not going to see the need. It's hard if you buy now. What's none of that? So importance, the empowerment, and also we see how empowering this also was, not just there, but also the cultivation of talent. Because now we have an incubator. You're able to go ahead and bring our people. You don't have your what's the brother's name? Film. Delroy's character.
Delroy Lindo.
Delta Slim.
Oh man.
I'm so sorry. Got to put some respect on Delta Slim.
Oh,
Delta
extraordinary.
Slim, drunk out his mind, playing for spare pocket change out there at the train station. They said, "Hey man, you don't got to do that out here. We gonna pay you way more than you get paid them other joints. We gonna pay you way more than you get paid out here, and it's gonna be consistent." And something that was key, because this is also another issue that we have as well too. The initial concern that Delta had, even after they made it sound so good, they're like, Delta wasn't no fool. He may have been drunk, but he was very functional drunk. He was still smart. He knows his paper. He said, okay, I hear what you're saying, and that's nice and cool, but here's the other problem. These people been open for the longest time.
Yeah.
It's consistency.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go ahead and spit on something that's been good to me consistently for the longest time to go for another one of these little half-ass, half-cocked schemes that's going to be here today and gone tomorrow.
Yes.
It's important that when we go ahead into the realm of entrepreneurship and business, that we have a thorough Not 360. We need a 700 L, a 1080, a 1080 degree comprehension of business when we go into this thing. One of the things that annoys me is when I hear a lot of people talk about and just shit on education in this regard, saying, you know, you don't need to get a business degree to go ahead and to be an entrepreneur and start a business. And that is true.
Yeah.
You do not need a business degree to go ahead and get into business. However, there's certain things and concepts and principles and practices that you're going to learn when you're getting that degree, that getting it on your own the hard way can be very costly.
Yeah.
There's certain principles and ideas that a lot of folks, if they had that up front, it would have saved them a lot of heartache and pain. The number one reason, the number one, pound for pound, and it isn't even close. The number two is really the number five. That's how much it is. This is the number 1, 2, 3, and the 4. Top reason most businesses fail is because they're underfunded.
True.
You just see on the paper, okay, I want to buy it. I want to buy a laundromat. I want to go ahead and start a restaurant or whatever. To open this place up, I need $130,000. Okay, I saved. All right, I got $130,000. Yes, I can open the business. No, sucker. Let me roll up my newspaper, smack you in the head. No, sucker. It's $130,000 to open up those doors, but you're going to need a lot more for other expenses.
Yeah.
There was a place over in I think it was in Texas. They opened up, and there was some controversy behind it. They opened up this business, and it was very good, very popular, great restaurant. But the problem is they did not make any concessions for parking. And so there was
like Turkey Leg Hut
issue. I think it was Turkey Leg Hut.
Sounds like
there's a lot of issues where, because they didn't go ahead and think to put the money into the parking lot, well, you got this business, people coming, yay. Well, damn, where are they going to park at? And then when they tried to use the lot that they had, there was issues with ownership, and the people that owned it made a big deal about it because they were hating on them and were giving them grief. And that was part of what chipped away their profitability. So when you go into business, there's a lot of things you have to take into consideration. So it's important that you get that understanding and knowledge, and maybe it's from getting a business degree, or maybe it's from doing other ways, but you need to fully understand what all does it take. Let me not skimp and try to hustle this thing. Let me do business the right way. And also, I loved how Stack went and gave that little sister the business. He said, hey, I need to watch this truck for me.
Oh, that was big.
Like, no. I don't know. I'll pay. How much? 50. Okay. It's like, that's nice, but don't just accept that figure. I want you to negotiate for it.
Yes.
I taught her how to negotiate. You can see in her eyes how she's being built up to get confident and everything. Just like, less than that, more. Okay, fine.
A young female at that. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Really took her, that big brother to the community, despite him being this goon, this thug, and having that perspective, whatever. That was a major thing too. Dr. John Henry Clark talked about how back in the days, during those times, it was what he called them, the pool hall boys, that kept a lot of these black communities safe.
That's true.
So when these Klansmen and when these white supremacists tried to roll up and try to take over these towns, it was some goons, it was some thugs, them gangsters. That came out and put boots to asses and sent them people packing and scurrying. A lot of these black communities owe those same thugs and goons a big debt of gratitude for keeping them safe on the low, whether they knew about it or not.
Yeah.
And we've gotten away from that in these modern times where they're more for themselves and it's more about harming the community. But back then, these were just the brothers that weren't the brightest, that had more hardships than others. They didn't have a chance to go to school or earn a decent living. So they were just out on the street getting it any way they could, but they didn't really mean harm like that. But they still had that connection to the community. And I love how Cooler demonstrated that on screen with that as well too. Again, this was a very, very, very thorough, detail-oriented film, man. My God.
We're going to get into it a little more right now. Yeah, yes, it was, sir. Yes, it was. And I came across this post. Some of the posts that people put online were just phenomenal. So I'm going to put up the question of the day in a minute, but I want to preface it with this, right? So this sister said, this is a harsh reality that men and women alike need each other. But Annie and Smoke show what it would be when the two walk in alignment, when the man leads but listens and the woman follows but guides, when both know their roles aren't about control or dominance. And I thought that was hella powerful, dude. Like that right there.
Very.
That's what I'm talking about. I like my folks when they talking like that. You dig? I like my folks when they talking like that. And that leads me to the question of the day.
Ultra fast.
Which I'm sure y'all been waiting for this anyway. Y'all pretty much know what time it is. What was your favorite scene in the Sinners movie?
Oh,
you know I had to throw that up in there because, bruh, shit. We sitting in the movie theater and like, yo, there were a few scenes that really blew me away. First of all, the movie is breathtaking.
Yes.
The metaphors in this movie are otherworldly. You know, the way that, you know, we have the smokestack twins and they both represent both sides of a coin. Basically, you have the positive, which is smoke, and the negative, which is stack, right on down to the fact that they're dressed in the blue for the positive for smoke and the red for the negative for stack. You understand what I'm saying? And, you know, these brothers throughout the film are the duality of a Kendrick Lamar, if you will. You know what I'm saying? They are the embodiment of that type of duality where one, you know, Stack goes out to go and secure the spot, you know, and Smoke, I'm sorry, Smoke goes out to secure the spot and Stack goes with Preacher Boy, you know, down to town or whatever to go meet up with Delta Slim and get the talent, whatever the case may be. But, you know, in the process of that, what happens? Old side piece comes and distracts him, and he tells Preacher Boy, "Hey, watch this fool because he don't watch his back." You know what I'm saying? He get caught up sometimes,
and he couldn't even say that. He like, "Yeah, you're right." Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. And can we just give a quick shout out to Michael B. Jordan playing himself, passing himself a cigarette, dying in his own arms?
Look, that might have been the most unique piece of cinematography I've seen in the last day, because the concept of playing multiple parts isn't new. We've seen that before,
right? But
we've never been able to. I don't know if this is new technology or what, but it was the first shotgun shot, the first slug to the chest came in that opening scene where you got the twins right there on the car. And Coogler a jerk for that because he knew what that was going to do. He a jerk. Because again, we've seen that, but it's clear when you're doing CGI with CGI with
we ain't seen it like this.
But they're literally right there, moving independently of one another. One smoking a cigarette, passing the other person. And I'm like,
Ryan Coogler is not a human being, dude.
I'm like, bro, they pumping fumes in this thing. Like, I'm like, wait.
Come on, man.
Has cinema tech advanced like that now?
Dude, bro, it was like that.
I don't know if any other movies have done that recently. So even though I like movies that haven't been going out to the movies and seeing a whole bunch like that. But as far as I'm aware, that has never been done on the silver screen before, where you actually have that literal dual acting of the same person like that, where they can interact with themselves and it's not some obvious stunt double, or it's a CGI person they're interacting with, or I don't know how it was done, but it was seamless. And the best, because obviously if it was like that in the past, I think it would still not hurt the film. But just being able to do that really took the believability of this film to the next level.
It did. It
did. Really drastically improved the realism and really made it possible to really buy into the fantasy that anything is possible in this world. We're literally looking at a person that we know is not a twin. Michael B. Jordan has no siblings. At least he doesn't have any identical twin brothers. We're literally seeing this person playing two different roles and interacting with himself. Dude. And both characters interacting with other people. And it's not any herky-jerky nonsense, not no Tupac hologram, whatever.
Come on
now. As soon as we saw that we're able to kind of accept that this is real, it made it possible to believe in any and everything else that we saw.
Dog, I'm not sure if vampires aren't real no more. I mean, bruh, this dude passed himself a cigarette. He died in his own arms. He fought himself. I mean, god damn. And it looked real, dude. Like, yeah, but my favorite scene, I think it's probably everybody's favorite scene. Hell, but I'm gonna say it first. Goddamn it!
You go,
that scene in the juke joint because This was such an ode and such a love letter to blues, which is the precursor for rock and roll and country music and hip hop and gospel even. You dig? Like blues, it started with the blues. All of these other genres came from the blues. You dig? And so like, it's such a love letter to blues, jazz, all these. And like I said, it should make everybody look at the way that they hang out in the club differently going forward, because it's talking about the spiritual connection that we have to music.
Mm-hmm.
And that it may not always be a good connection. You may not always be bringing in good spirits with the type of music that you're enjoying, brothers and sisters.
Facts.
And the ways that you're partying. You may not always be bringing in what's good. And that's critical, especially for us, because our music is powerful. Pete, this guy, Remick, he was a musician too.
Yes,
but he came to Sammy because Sammy had that gift to take it to the next level. He wanted to bring his family to be with him through the portal, right? But he needed to take our spiritualism, our music, and our spirituality to do that. He couldn't do it for himself, and that's another very powerful lesson in this film.
Mm-hmm.
How these motherfuckers will take what's yours and use it for evil purposes. You understand what I'm saying? And force you to do it. You understand? We got all this degenerate shit out here right now. Yeah, you know, the record label execs like Diddy, like Yo Gotti, whatever the case, like Irv Gotti, these type of people, they're black. But who's funding them? Oh, okay. So again, these people are coming in, they're taking what's yours and they're forcing you to, you know, come in and use it for degenerate purposes. They're forcing you to do that, you know, and they're gentrifying your culture, but for their gain. It's always for their gain. And, you know, these guys in our case, it's twofold. Because, you know, they get to kill two birds with one stone. They get to destroy black society and become multi-billionaires at the same time. And so let's not miss that message either, people. You know, these outsiders is a very strong message about allowing outsiders into your space, man, that come in and try to gentrify your shit. What is so powerful? They need you. You're the secret sauce. You're the secret ingredient. They need you.
Mm-hmm.
They come in, they gentrify your shit and use it for their purposes. And by the time it gets back to you in the real world, we don't even recognize it. It's not the same. It ain't the same no more because it's been, you know, it's been tainted, you know. But that scene where, you know, they were playing the music and, you know, you just felt something, and all of these different spirits started coming together from the past, the current, and the present, and coalescing in this one place, and it kind of opened this portal. That was deep, man. That was heavy, because that is something, you know, when you get high, I think that's why so many niggas smoke weed and want to get high and shit all the time, because they're trying to attain this level and they don't really know how to get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I that's my guesstimation of what, you know, what that is, or whatever the case may be. I've never been high, but I think that's what people are trying to get when they're trying to get high. But that scene right there, that's one of the best scenes in the history of film, as far as I'm concerned. It was phenomenal. It was mind-blowing, and it really spoke to the foundational Black American experience. Mind you, Coogler said the term foundational Black American in an interview when they interviewed him about it. He's talking about our culture, the foundational Black American experience, and all of the different allegories that coincide with that in the film. Phenomenal. That scene right there did it for me. You guys.
Oh,
definitely. I think one of the most powerful scenes for me that I think was kind of overlooked because it was real quick.
Yeah.
Was the fact Remick.
Okay.
When Remick ended up going at it with the Ku Klux Klan members and turning them, and then they were river dancing.
Okay.
I think a lot of people didn't take the correlation between them being Irish and the Klans member. And remember, it goes back to history. That I'll say is very important for you to know history, where the Klans members, that's the origination of the Klans members was Irish people. So I think he kind of subconsciously put that in there. And people didn't catch that. You know, that's history to you. So knowing how the foundation of white supremacy, the sinners, the foundation of the sinners with the Irish blood turning into the Ku Klux Klan members, that intertwine was super dope. I enjoyed that a lot, man. And I know it went over a lot of people's head because like a lot of people don't know the real foundation of white supremacy and a lot of the history behind it. So it was great to see Coogler tapping on points without saying it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna put stuff in here, but the people that know, you know, we don't have to say it. It's
a lot
like
of subtleties.
Yes. So
and you know what was ill too that really fucked me up while you on that same tangent real quick? That like when he came to the door, they was real suspicious of him. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. He looked in there, he saw that Klan uniform. He basically said, hey, you know, these Indians is chasing me. I'm white like you.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And, you know, that he can see that this guy's an obvious racist, so he's going to let him come in. You know, and you got to invite him into your home, right? And see what happens when you invite him in your home. But and you see how the Indian guy, when he seen, you know, that, hey, you know, they not trying to let us in. Okay, we'll catch up. We'll holler. And he cleared it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna fight you. I'm not gonna fuss. Hey, all right, cool. I'll tell you one time. That's all I'm gonna tell you. But
and that was another point that I wanted to make that was so dope when you talked about the spirituality. When the natives came, they was like, yo, something ain't right with them. And you know, Indians, natives, they are more spiritual people. They feel your energy. They knew something was wrong with Remick. That's why they ain't fuck with that dude like that. So I think a lot of people didn't realize that aspect of it as well, the spiritual aspect that he was trying to, you know, that the natives, people of the land can feel that energy and they can tell when people aren't shifted and aligned in the right way. So, man, it was so many great scenes, man, that I loved in there. But I just wanted to highlight on that because I think it's very important for us to move forward to understanding a lot of white supremacy, you know, and understanding the foundations and the trick bags behind it, the illusions behind it. And like I tell people all the time, the most dangerous racists aren't the ones that are loud, it's the covert racists. Covert racism is way more powerful than overt racism. So
sure is. Shout out Joe Biden.
Yeah. You gotta know, you gotta know that, you know what I'm saying? Because when you are, and that's another thing too, when he converted them, their whole demeanor was more subtle. They weren't loud racists like that. And I thought that was so dope because people don't understand, like when you look at Trump, people always focus on Trump, but you're not looking at Biden. And you overlook Biden. And Biden sits amongst you because they know that when you're a subtle, covert racist, you can blend in with people that you are trying to take out. It's easy for you to blend in with them. So if you are over like Trump, nobody's gonna want to be around Trump. You got all these people that get invited to Biden and Obama's White House when they win the championships, and now you have Trump that invites them and they don't want to go. Because it's a difference. It's a difference of being, okay, if I know who you are, I'm not going to fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? But if I don't know who you are, I'll lay right up on you. And those are the people that could easily slip something into your drink. They could easily kill you. And guess what? They're not the number one suspects.
They always do. They
he was my best friend. Why would I do that to him?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I just want to land my plane on that.
Hey, everybody hit the like button for me and share, please. Shout out to everybody watching right now. We see y'all. We love y'all. Bobby Drake, what you got, man?
Man,
what's up?
Y'all were gutting a lot of my points, man. Y'all really were.
Okay.
But I definitely want to really hammer home what Ant said. I'm gonna say something that's gonna piss some people off. I'm definitely gonna be on a lot of people's hate list this week. And this is good. In fact, I'm relishing, I'm savoring the feeling right now. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Listen, it's better to be pissed off than be pissed on. You dig?
Oh, when I'm pissing off, this is gonna hurt a lot of y'all. So go ahead and get your Kleenex, get your tissue, get your little Haagen-Dazs and your little whatever your little emotional comfort creature items right now.
Get them.
Say it like this. I'm only gonna say it once. I can say it twice. Remick and those vampires were the textbook examples of your Democratic Party.
Yeah, I said that earlier. Yes,
that was the Democratic Party in action.
That's them.
Remick was your stereotypical. You could actually look now. If you look at the next edition of the Merriam-Webster and the Oxford dictionaries, when you look under the definition for good white liberal, you gonna see Remick right there singing "Pick Po Robin Clean." Pick Po Robin Clean. You're gonna see him right there. And I would challenge anybody. Don't listen to me. I'm nobody. I'm just Bobby Drake. I'm just on the internet talking my ass off. Don't mind me. I'm not bored. With that in mind, I challenge you to go back and watch that film again, specifically focusing. You can ignore everything else if you can. Just focus on your Remick. Focus on Remick and all the vampires that he turns. Listen to how they talk. How they behave. Their mannerisms. Outside of actually dropping them fangs and getting business on, even after they had the fangs out, they were very aggressive. They weren't brolic. They weren't. I mean, they were bloodthirsty. They were violent. But it wasn't that typical action movie type of slasher, that kind of thing. But it was very subtle. It was almost lull you to sleepish. And the arguments they presented, they sounded so friendly, so opening. And they really sounded like they meant it. Like, you don't deal with all this racism. Look at us. We have the white folks, the black folk together. We're all dancing in harmony. Look at us. We're all on the same page.
But you're dead.
That's exactly how they operate. That is the DNC. That's the good white liberals right there. And all the token black folk that go right along with them.
Yes.
Damn.
Down to how they recited their thoughts.
Same goofy talking points. And remember, Remick's arguments, and that's something else. Remick's arguments got more acute, got more intelligent, and more refined, and more powerful the more people he turned. Because remember, and I like this aspect of the vampire genre that Kugler put in, because as someone who does love horror movies, I've seen tons of vampire films. I can't recall seeing this implemented too often. It's not new, but I rarely see it with vampire lore. They kept some other lore of things in there, like the wooden stakes and the garlic and everything of that nature. But this element I rarely see in. But the concept of having a vampire hive mind. Whoever the master vampire is, he has access to all the thoughts and memories of all the vampires that he's basically the sire of. He's basically the king vampire. There's the vampires I turned, the vampires that they turned. But the person at the top, the higher up they go, they have access to all the memories and the experience of this person. He came in, started talking about, with just the white folk, talking about, hey, you gonna invite us in? No, we just want to play with you guys. It sounds good. You notice in the beginning, when it's just the three of them, he didn't have that much to say. He didn't have much to say, and his talking points that he was tapping on were very limited. He said about maybe 2 or 3 things. Oh, we just like to play with traveling musicians. We see music. We don't music. Very limited. But he turned Mary or Annie, whoever his name is. Then as he started against the black folk, he started speaking to racism. We don't have this racism. We're all equal out here. Return one. We understand. I know how much you love this woman. You can be with her. You can have the life that you never thought was possible. He started speaking to all that because he got these go along to get along Negroes right there and start absorbing their. So,
yeah, it was something, bro. It was something to behold. The messaging was heavy, and
yes,
like you say, you know, he started to get more in depth as his numbers grew. He got a lot more comfortable when he
had
saw
more source material, got more comfortable speaking on business that wasn't his own.
Yeah.
All the
you know,
okay. But
after
as
he
far as
turned
my
the
actual but as far as my actual favorite scene, I don't want to say the part in the juke joint where Miles had a solo. Well, actually, no, technically no really mention. I mean, you guys mentioned the music, but you didn't mention that part. That part was phenomenal, and I gotta tip my hat off to brother Miles Caton.
Beast.
That brother is phenomenal. For those who aren't aware, that was actually his cinematic debut. That's his first time acting, his first time out, and that's how he got down. But something else I'm gonna tell you right now. This was less known. I don't know how many people know this, but there was absolutely no editing whatsoever to those performances. You actually heard Miles Caton singing. That's his voice.
That's right. That's correct.
That's his style. Correct. That's him playing the everything. Nothing went in, and that was artificial. That was all him. And I forgot who he's tied to, but he has I think his aunt.
Her.
Is he what?
The singer Her, he was on tour with Her. And Her told him that he should audition for the movie. That's how he got on.
Oh, that's amazing. But also there's somebody else. He has a famous musician in his family. I think an aunt. I think I remembered the day before yesterday. Now I can't remember, but you know, so there's music in his blood. And you know, like a lot of some of our great R&B and soul singers, he came up in the church as well too, cut his teeth singing and you know, in choirs and everything.
Right.
So he has his chops. But he said, you know, he sat back and he listened and everything, and he just really studied, trying to get in the mindset of these blues singers.
Right.
And he, you know, Coogler gave him the opportunity. Another dope part that was really amazing was that whole scene in the car where it was Stack, Delta Slim, and Preacher Boy.
Yes.
I saw an interview recently where they said that almost didn't happen.
Yeah. It was freestyle.
That scene was actually off the cuff, that whole thing. Yeah. And if you look back and you see, I forgot what it was he said, but I think there was a part where Stack said something to him, almost kind of like urging him, well, why don't you go do this, whatever. Again, that was improv. He was basically telling him, just go for it, whatever. And Coogler almost cut nothing malicious, but Coogler almost cut that scene. And when Delroy heard that, he's like, you can't do that. You have to leave this in. It's so amazing, so powerful. And, you know, he decided, he listened to his talent. He said, all right, you think we need to keep it in? We're going to keep it in. That might have been the most powerful scene in the film to me. But I love that scene where Preacher Boy is just performing. You see all the music from across the decades and even from the millennia coming in. And you really saw how all these different layers were being interwoven, and everything that was old sounded new. Everything new sounded old. It all blended. And it really showed how music is just one big, constant, revolving cycle.
Yeah.
Everything feeds into the other. And, you know, I was elated because I know some people aren't a fan of it, but I personally love blues.
I do too.
I love blues music.
Who's your favorite blues singer, Bobby?
Favorite old school, favorite throwback blues singer?
I only listen to old school, so I only listen to old school. So,
they got some solid new cats right now. From back in the day, I like the classics here. It's hard to pick one. Probably out of the old heads, probably John Lee Hooker at the top. Okay. But I love Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Bo Diddley, Lightning Hopkins, and then of course the OG Robert Johnson, Big Tip. But I love B.B. King. B.B. King. And my two current modern favorite blues singers gotta be Eric Gales. You gotta listen to that brother. He's nasty with that guitar, man.
Okay.
And Chris Stone, Kingfish Ingram, the Kingfish, man.
Kingfish that's my new guy. Yeah, Kingfish is me.
For those who don't know, if you watched the Luke Cage series when it was on Netflix, I think it was the second season. he was one of the guest singers they had towards the end. He was the big heavyset brother towards the end of part where he was performing in the club with I think what's the name the snake villain when he was in there at the time.
Okay.
Real thorough cat, but Eric Gales, Chris Stone Kingfish, man. There's a couple others, but those are my favorites for the new school, man. They definitely keeping it alive. Eric is prolific, man. Man's got crazy skills.
Oh yeah.
So getting to hear that, because I about once a week maybe, or at least every other week, I'm playing the blues. Thursdays, my playlist is only good R&B, soul, blues, R music. So at least every other Thursday, I got some guitar and some harmonies and melodies playing. So getting to hear a film where that was really the center, and then hearing Miles sing the way he did, I was in my bag. I'm like, you know what, I'm good.
Extraordinary.
I'm like,
man,
I'm good. I don't got to go anywhere right now. How long is the movie? Is it 4 hours? I can do that. That's fine.
Man, look. Oh my God.
I was good.
Amazing. And look, my wife stayed awake through that movie. My wife don't stay awake through nothing. You understand what I'm saying?
I was gonna ask if she a sleeper.
In the theater, she does, but at home, she watched that film at home in the theater. Like, yo, oh my God. So it had to be extraordinary if you kept her awake. And real quick, before we go on to our next segment, I just want to throw this in there too, because so much was going on. The film was so phenomenal. A lot of people forget or didn't catch this particular thing. I want to make sure I highlight it. Delta Slim, Delroy Lindo, aka Delta Slim. Let's not miss that message about the elders sacrificing for the youth. When he gave himself up so that those guys could get away at the end of the movie when they were being attacked. Let's not miss that. That was huge, because he said, I'm not gonna let nothing happen to y'all, and throughout the movie, he was that old school guy. He was old school.
The OG.
He was the OG, you know what I'm saying? And, he came around and he was a rider. And Tariq Nasheed and Jason Black often talk about the difference between an elder and an old nigga. And an older or old nigga, you know what I'm saying? And I think that Delroy Lindo's character exemplified the way that we need our elders to be. And it showed homage to the elders that came before us that really did pave the way, because he wasn't just, an old nigga cracking jokes. He was funny as hell. I never knew that Delroy Lindo could do comedic acting like that.
Oh, yeah,
he was hilarious. But he
Delroy
was
legend. He can do it all. He can do it all.
He can clearly. But he was giving game, though. The type of things he was telling the young people about how things were when he was in the field, when he was a slave. You understand? And how he bought his freedom and this. Oh my God. It was extraordinary, man. Like that character. I think that may be the best character I've ever seen Delroy Lindo play. Yeah. And I've seen him in some stuff. He's been very good, but damn it, his character was he really popped in this movie. You know what I'm saying? He really, really popped in this movie. I want to shout that brother out because he made my soul sing whenever I saw. He made my soul sing.
For the longest time, I had Isaac O'Day right here at the top of the Delroy Lindo character list. Isaac, my brother, we've come a long ways together, man.
Delta Slim.
Romeo Must Die will always be one of them films.
Yeah.
But it's time for you to pass the torch to Delta Slim. Delta Slim is the new king of the Delroy Lindo filmography, man.
You felt him in your soul, dog. You just felt him, dog. Like it was crazy. It was crazy.
He's that uncle you always wanted, or the uncle that you had, and he just really brings it home. But he'll fall on a knife for you. He'll box your ears if you're cutting up. He'll pull you back. He can be completely wilding out, but he will not allow you to go ahead and throw yourself away the way he did. That's exactly what it is right there. That's what it's supposed to be.
And he even said something like that to that effect. Go ahead, Ant.
No, I'm saying I know we got limited time, but I just wanted to say, today is Mother's Day, and I just wanted to highlight Annie, because I think Annie is so powerful with today being Mother's Day, that the Black woman that's always protecting, whether you're in a relationship with her or not, She always finds the love out there to protect you, always making sure that you are always protected and guided with knowledge. And the difference between Annie and Mary, a lot of people, you know, I thought that was so great that he had Annie as a dark-skinned sister and then had Mary as this light-skinned biracial woman. And everybody's attracted to the Mary, and they overlook the powers of Annie because she actually was the most powerful person in that movie.
Yes, she was.
You know, and nobody realized, dog, she was doing everything, which exudes so much of what Black women do. You got to be the mother, you got to be the caregiver, you got to be the protector, you have to be the party organizer, you have to be the cook. She did all of that in the movie and giving a spiritual presence to make sure that everybody was protected. And even when she said, you know, if they turn me, keep my soul pure like it was on earth.
Facts.
Don't let me
that was
turn
big. That was huge.
You know what I'm saying?
And you remember when he killed her?
Yeah,
they was hot.
Yeah,
they started retreating when he killed her.
Because she was another one. They wanted Preacher Boy, obviously.
And they wanted her.
But they wanted Annie as well, too.
Yes. She was a very powerful character. Shout out to that sister. She's an extraordinary actress. She was great in Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
She's something.
And that's also a thing, too, is that if you notice, whites, they love to gravitate to the most powerful Black people.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. Very true. Because they know, you know, it's something that Tariq Nasheed, people want to give Tariq flack about this term or whatever. I love the term when he talks about the Majara spirit, because no one else has ever come up with a term to describe the essence of what is, you know, the Black American spirit. No one else has ever really defined it or come up with a name for it or called it out as a specific thing. We just call it soul or whatever. And, you know, okay, I get it. But no, it's a thing, man. Like, you got to define that. You got to really talk about that, because that is the catalyst for things like the civil rights movement. You know what I'm saying? That is the catalyst for things, you know, whatever movement the Black Americans had, you know what I'm saying? For funk, you know, for hip hop, that is the catalyst. And you can't really grab it, but you know it's there. You feel me? I love that term. I love what he's doing with it and the fact that he's encouraging people to tap into it. But that character, Annie, she was a powerful character. And real quick, God dang, we gotta go. But like, you know, what irks the hell out of me, you know, I saw people trying to, you know, some coon, you know, a lot talking about, oh, they tried to, you know, mammy her and all of this because she's a heavyset woman. No, they didn't. You got to watch the whole movie, nigga. You understand? Because you had her.
Matters.
Yeah, you had her who represented, you know, she was a full-figured woman, but she wasn't just, you know, walking around the house cooking and taking care of white people. First of all, you know, she had a real purpose in the movie. And there was also a slender young Black woman in the movie as well, which is something that you won't see in white movies. You won't see a young, attractive, slender Black woman and a young, attractive, slender white woman opposite each other, competing. You'll never see that in a white film. That is only in a Black film. Name the movie that you saw Megan Good playing opposite Scarlett Johansson. I'll wait. With a real role. I'll wait.
You will be
they
waiting a while.
don't do it. They don't do it because they always have to exalt the Black woman. And they'll put Gabby Sidibe in there. I'm not trying to pick on Gabby Sidibe, but you know, they play in her face. You know, they insult her and try to make it look like they're uplifting her. You know what I'm saying? And they do that with a lot of sisters, you know, but this is not something that they do. And I like the way that this is what real representation looks like. You got a heavyset woman in the film, a dark-skinned woman in the film, but she is kicking ass and taking names.
And
you understand what I'm saying?
She's also very attractive too.
Yeah, she's a pretty lady.
I saw a lot of people. Now, I personally had no issue with her whatsoever, but I was curious because especially the weeks leading up to the film, not about the film, but I've seen a lot of the chatter back and forth about colorism. Colorism had been something that's been popping up in my feeds recently, people talking about it.
Yeah.
And I was rolling my eyes because I saw a lot of misconceptions about colorism being put out there and what have you.
No.
And what I love, the timing of this film is amazing, because here you have this heavy-set sister who's dark as midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally, and I'm tapped into a lot of different areas where I'm watching and observing what people are saying and everything.
Yeah.
I can't, if there were 100 brothers talking about Annie, maybe, and I'm being realistic, maybe at best 12 of them have something sideways to say about her.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the
Most
looks and
of them are
everything.
admiring her, right?
Everything. And the thing, and here's the other thing.
Yeah.
The vast majority were complimenting her. They liked her character. They liked her. They were very, attracted to her, not physically, but also her aura and everything.
Yeah.
But the number one thing that I saw brothers saying about what they liked about her and the character is they liked the way she loved Smoke.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought it was the skin, but okay.
No, but they love the way, and I saw a couple brothers who I have seen be harsh towards some darker sisters before, not necessarily because of the dark skin, but even they kind of were almost like, the savage beast is soothed, because they loved how healthy the love was. You could tell that she really loved him, and the way she interacted with him. It wasn't in a mammy way. It wasn't like a I'm the mother role, or I'm trying to be a mother. I know what's best for you. I'm telling you this, whatever. She was offering guidance.
Yes.
But she didn't try to check him or lead him or whatever.
Yes.
She respected him and his manhood as a person. She respected his direction and vision. She was almost like, how can I assist you in the vision?
Yes.
This is my perspective.
Yes.
And they showed that was a very healthy Black relationship dynamic and display there. Smoke, and you see he's very strong-willed, but he listened to her. He didn't necessarily go with what she said.
Right.
But he listened.
Yeah.
And even when he checked, because he wasn't with the hoodoo and everything, he really didn't buy that. He really was going along with the hoodoo bag and everything she made because of the connection to her and the love that she had for him, and not because of any protection, whatever. But even when he kind of checked her, and it wasn't mean-spirited, but it was pain, it was hurt, because he came there and laid flowers at his child's grave.
Right.
He's doing all this. You could see the hurt in his voice when he said, "You doing all this stuff. How come we didn't protect our child?" And she heard that, and it hurt both of them. But it wasn't spiteful or vindictive, and she didn't respond to lash out. She just responded honestly. I don't know.
That's because Tyler Perry didn't write it. Yeah. I'm just saying, bro, because I get tired of all the fucking bullshit, dude. This fucking guy writes on a 3rd grade level.
No.
This is how you write Black love, dumb nigga. I'm just saying.
Yeah, the last time I saw a healthy Black love portrayed like this on the silver screen was when you and I saw If Beale Street Could Talk, and
yeah.
That's the last time I saw a real healthy, positive Black relationship where I couldn't find anything. I couldn't nitpick that one critique. I had nothing, no observations to say or make, none.
Yeah.
That was the last time. This was the most recent time, and I hope I see more of this in the future, because we need more examples of this.
Ryan Coogler is giving a masterclass on how to write a fucking movie for Black people in particular. I hope a lot of you other people out there are listening. Lena Waithe, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, you people that civilized. Ava DuVernay, you people that can't write a civilized script to save your goddamn life. The characters were able to have conflict, were able to, to sin and still not be toxic pieces of shit. Like, dude, you still like the character. You can still relate to the damn characters. My God, it wasn't over the top. Like, fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't want to watch this shit. It wasn't like that.
So what you're saying, it wasn't The Color Purple, is what you're saying.
It was not. I didn't even watch that bullshit. When I saw they was remaking it, I was done. I didn't even bother. But it sure as hell wasn't, what's the name of any Tyler Perry movie? You know what I'm saying? Except for Daddy's Little Girls. That's about the only good one.
That was an accident.
It wasn't Precious. You know what I'm saying?
You see, he didn't repeat the formula. You see that, right?
Come on now. Come on. So I really like that, Ryan Coogler is very careful and, deliberate about the way that he depicts Black people. Very careful, and I should say responsible about the way that he depicts Black people and Black love. Oh, wow. A movie script writer can be responsible and still have a hit movie. We've seen this consistently with him.
That's amazingly.
And Black Panther.
Say that again.
The man is responsible, deliberate and responsible with his
I
portrayal.
was going to say
Black people in film.
respectful. I was going to say respectful, but that's next level because again, when you're in the position, when you have the ball,
yeah,
and it's 12 seconds on the clock,
facts.
You're down 1.
Mm-hmm.
What you do next in that matter, you have to be exactly what you said, responsible. You have this. Yeah. This is the time to do all kind of nonsense, or to give in trying to kiss the dominant society's ass cheeks.
Right.
It is to be responsible. You have an obligation to your people. You got to represent properly. None of the foolishness or the shenanigans. You got to represent. When you on the pot, you better shit.
Facts.
Straight up.
That's what it is. Shout out to Bobby Drake. We're shitting while we're on the pot. You dig? Let's go ahead with the crown check right quick. We got to go ahead into this. Yo, I wanted to make sure the crown check tied in with this film. And so I wanted to really invite this particular sister up to the stage because I felt like she was just so it ties in so well, and she's such an extraordinary sister, right? So this sister, Viola Fletcher, yesterday was her birthday, and she is the oldest living survivor of the Tulsa Race Massacre. And this is her book, Don't Let Them Bury My Story. And in this book, she details, the trials and tribulations that she's gone through as a survivor of the Tulsa Massacre. She's 111 years old yesterday. You understand? My God, she's 111 years old, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I think that this person is a real life hero to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She is a real life hero, and we want to make sure that we give her flowers. Here are some of her points. She was born in 1914. This is old. She was 109 years old at the time this was created. She was a child during the event, witnessed the destruction of her community. She wrote a memoir, again, Don't Let Them Bury My Story, details her experiences and calls for justice. She's actively sought reparations and accountability for the massacre.
Hallelujah.
Traveling internationally, testifying before Congress, and supporting lawsuits. Okay. The life and the story has, of course, been a powerful reminder of the lasting impact of the massacre and so forth. And see, it's one thing that she survived the massacre and lived to tell about it. It's another thing altogether that she didn't forget the struggle. And she kept on. She continued. She's been an advocate for reparations. She's testified before Congress. She is a rider through and through. This sister is on code as you can possibly get. And that is our crown check. It's so fitting that this comes on Mother's Day. It's so fitting that this comes on after they put up this statue, this 12-foot statue of this mammy figure in New York, supposedly honoring Black women. This is how you really honor Black women. I get tired of the bullshit. So this is how you really honor Black women. Shout out to that sister, and God bless her. Y'all could go ahead and say what you got to say. So, before we clear it.
Powerful Queen Check, man. Shout out to you for finding that.
Yes, sir.
It's great significance when you have somebody that was part of one of the greatest moments in Black history in the early 1920s. It was a great time period financial wise for them. And just to know that she's still around, making sure that even though she survived what she survived, I'm still going to put all my efforts in to make sure that the future generation at least benefits financially from what was just due to us.
Like
so going out, exactly. That Delta Slim mentality. So, that was so definitely so powerful. I just want to say, man, a great show tonight. People, you got to understand what's really going on. Understanding the message, understanding real history. Once you understand real history, everything becomes clear to you. Understanding how white supremacy works, everything comes clear to you. So you have to put in the effort to understand what the real life history is all about. And that way you could propel yourself to get into what we need to get to, and also helping the next generation on where they need to get to. Because like I said before, the previous generation got us to where we are today. And we have to make that valid effort to get the next generation to do better than what we're going through right now. So it's a communicative effort. It's a mindset effort, on code effort. And, you know, just make sure that you're doing your part, playing your role. It's either you are going to be for the community or you're going to end up being a sinner. Because I think one of the things that people need to realize is that the Black people that were turned and used to destroy Black people, you're seeing that in society right now. You know, the Tyler Perrys, the Lee Daniels, all of these people that don't have no good intentions for Black folks. And I'm sorry to say, your mighty Obama is part of that sinner movement too.
Yes, he is.
Understanding who's really for you, who's really for the community to propel us in the right direction, then you'll truly understand and get to where we need to get to. And I'll land my plane on that.
Facts. Bobby, take us home.
Absolutely. Amazing, wonderful crown check, well deserved. It's funny enough, I saw her early when I was on the go. I didn't have a chance to pass her for your perusal, but I'm glad to see that you saw her as well too. Definitely the moment, everything from the subject matter for tonight, Mother's Day and everything. Perfect candidate for the occasion. Big ups to that sister, appreciate it. I'm gonna have to get my hands on that book of hers as well too. Gonna toss that onto the pile.
Everybody go out, support that, get that. Yeah,
absolutely. Have to do it. But you know, again, masterful work from the hands of Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. Big shout out to everybody that played a role in the film, from the production crew all the way down to the person getting snacks and everything for everybody in the back, and the personal assistants. Everyone that played a part in making this film what it was, thank you so much. It was amazing. I'm looking forward to what the future holds. The future of Black cinema is officially in excellent hands. We got Michael B. Jordan right in the bow of the ship. We got Ryan Coogler behind the wheel and the captain's chair and everything.
Yes.
We good right now. I'm hoping that this will go ahead and kickstart and pave a new era for Black cinematography, a new example for Black excellence. And also, really quickly, something else that we didn't mention.
Yeah.
Ryan might have brokered the first deal of its kind in history with his film.
Yes.
He's got it done. So at this film, I forgot what the length of it is, but
25
the film
years.
is going to be in 25 years. This film is going to be in the rights of the film are going to be Warner Brothers for the next 25 years. So they control all the royalties, they get all the benefits from it. But at the end of that 25 years, the rights of the film revert back to Ryan Coogler.
Yes.
And now he and his progeny will be the benefits and recipients of that too. But again,
and he got the stuff off rip too. That was huge. He got his cut off first before Warner Brothers got it.
Exactly. And that's significant for a reason that I mentioned earlier when I was talking about him and Michael B. Jordan. Ryan Coogler is not an old man.
Facts.
The brother's not 40 yet. That means, God willing, God spare life, those rights will revert to him while he has still got plenty of juice in the tank.
Yeah.
He will be alive to be the beneficiary and recipient of the fruits of his labor.
It's going down.
And Hollywood was pissed about that.
He need to hurry up right now and get some FOI protection.
And look, I'm trying to tell you something.
Try to come for him.
Yeah, that's that Michael Jackson move.
I'm calling it right now. Right, he needs to do it right now.
This is what Black excellence looks like. This is the example. This right here is the blueprint. And this is just with the film Hollywood and everything, but there's other areas that we can take this example and lean towards. Everything about this film, the detail, the level of study, the level of preparedness and preparation, the willingness to invest in up-and-coming talent that hasn't even been proven yet, the willingness to go ahead and lean on veterans and heavyweights, the willingness to go into uncomfortable conversations and directions, but that are necessary, and to represent the people. Let this be the backbone of everything that we do going forward. Let us keep the spirit of Ryan Coogler, of Michael B. Jordan, of Sinners, and take it forward to create more excellent in different arenas, in business, in music, in the arts, in labor, in law, in medicine, everywhere we go. That's my thoughts on this. You see the text. Please hit the like button.
Yes.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Please hit the like button, share, subscribe, the bell icon upstairs right above us. Go ahead and click that and subscribe to all. We are not going to bombard your timelines and your notifications, but when it's time for us to show up and show out, you get the invitation to join us. Want to get a big thank you to all of our folks kicking us with us live on YouTube, our Facebook fam that's in the building,
Instagram
IG.
too.
We didn't forget about you. We love you. We appreciate you. Make sure you get the word out. We'll see y'all next week, same time, same place. He's Anthony Malcolm. He's Major Gage.
Yeah.
I'm Bobby Drake. We are MANVERSATIONS2020. See y'all.
All right. Easy.
Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You gotta eat what you kill. You gotta go out there. You gotta hunt for your meals.
We all have that ability to connect with people, to be that motivational person in somebody's life.
You gotta let people know there's certain lines you don't cross, and that there's gonna be consequences if you do.
Man up.
If you are an adult and you are in a relationship, that person's emotions are not your responsibility.
Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
The devil, during slavery, destroyed the masculinity or manhood of the so-called Negro. No man. No man. Right now you got to be trained all over again to be a man.
When someone is obligated to do something, it is binding upon them to do it. And failure to do it causes reaction.
Man up.
Position make you rich. I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever.
If that people knew that glorious path, if that people knew that glorious path, if that people knew that glorious path, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You want to tell me about yourself? Go get your friends. I'll tell you who you are based on who your friends are.
Don't just live and die. That's an ugly existence. Make your life matter. Make your life count. Live a life where people can actually mourn you for the things you left behind, not just because you were around and existed.
We need strong black nuclear family.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is. Mother, father, son, daughter, all in the same house with a focus on the family unit as a whole.
We had Tulsa, Atlanta, New Jersey, Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
We had Rosewood. We had Black Wall Streets all over.
The Republicans aren't for us, but the Democrats aren't for us either. And we should have no alliance to any political party. We only have alliance to what is in our own best
A
interest.
place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and
Man up.
inspire.
At the end of the day, as men in the community, we
Man
must
up.
stand together and be counted because people look to us for guidance, leadership,
Man
and
up.
protection. And if we are not about that business, we are not on our job.
Man up.
Here we have grown-ass man conversations in the spirit of that purpose.
Man up.
Anthony Malcolm, Bobby Drake, Major Gage.
Man up.
We are. This is Manversations 2020.
Manversations. Man up. Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and
Man up.
inspire.